Welcome to Be So Good They Can't Ignore You, your host, Charles Barnes. This is segment number 4. It's Bills week. Bills play the Titans in Nashville, 6 p.m. Tuesday. Doing it a little different for this segment. I'm going to be watching live tape of the Bills versus Raiders matchup. Um, we live in a day and age where we have, guys going to the whiteboard, doing the Orlovsky way. We got guys, recording it, showing, the play, the Brian Baldinger way. But very rarely do we have anybody sharing the organic recording of you watching the tape and just, talking ball. And if you really love football, you're gonna enjoy it. And that's what I hope to bring. Just a brief synopsis of the game. Obviously, this is a very unorthodox week. Tennessee Titans coming, off of what has been a bye and a half, it seems like. And conditioning is going to be the major thing. Football conditioning is a bit different than regular conditioning. The Bills are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, extremely dynamic on offense. They do have their holes on defense, and that's something that we're going to be talking about for the Titans. For those that don't know, why I do be so good is basically to show both ways teams can win. It's not over biased towards the Titans, and it's not trying to hate on the Titans. It's just showing ways that both teams can win. Um, and it makes you learn more about different types of schemes, different types of concepts, and learn about the players around the league. So I'm going to screen share, and we're going to get this thing started. Let's see. All right, so I just started randomly at a random spot, um, and then we can just get this thing going. So what it looks like, the Raiders have the ball. Can't see numbers necessarily. I know that's Hunter Renfro. I know that's Nelson Aguilar, and looks like a tight end might be Waller. And you see the personnel. One of the things that I thought about with the Bills for the Titans, when the Titans are on offense is, long story short, the Bills linebacking core, especially with Matt Milano out, with what I don't think they've reported it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's a torn pec based off of my intel from guys like Charlie Gross, who was on the show Assembling Titans earlier this week. So I got great intel from him. Matt Milano is out, but these linebackers, some of the younger defensive backs, they're not as good at covering. Some of the older defensive backs, Josh Norman, he's not as good at covering, especially horizontally. And if we can get this safety tandem, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, if we can get these guys separated, they're strength in numbers. When those guys are back there playing, too deep, it's very difficult to get anything over them. But if we can find ways to get somebody in the flat and somebody on more of one half of the field, that will give us a great advantage. So let this play. We're gonna let this play go ahead and play. But I'm more of a matchup guy. Like I see Teron Johnson following Nelson Aguilar. If I'm a quarterback, and we'll see it from the end zone view. If I'm a quarterback, I'm always eyeing my best, you know, depending on the play. But if all things being equal, I'm eyeing my best matchup. And right here, follow the pointer. We see number 24, Teron Johnson. Let's see how this play unfolds. And I'll just take you through how I look at the game. A lot of people look at specific plays, but teams know your plays. Like there's nothing new under the sun in the NFL. So when people show plays, it's like anybody can run a play, and you're not going to fool the defense over and over again with plays. It's really about situational football, and is my guy better than the guy facing him? And more often than not, that's what I see. Other than these rudimentary plays as a run, these schemes. Yes, this is the foundation of the game. But here I like to talk about situational ball. So we got Teron Johnson following Nelson Aguilar. We stop it there. Let's let this thing play. a bit high there from Derek Carr. The read, I would have threw it to 15 because I know the matchup, and that's my own opinion of how I view this roster. So I know that the Bills aren't that good covering, underneath patterns, and especially let's stick to players. Linebackers are not covering that well. Number 24, Taron Johnson. Number 31, Dean Marlowe. Number 47, Cam Lewis, that's going to be brought up. Number 30, Dane Jackson, young players that I know that I can pick on a little bit. So in the slot, we got Hunter Renfro on 2-4. Dean Marlowe, I do not see it in the picture. This is not a foolproof way to always look at the game, but I think specifically for the Titans in this game, you have to take advantage of the things that you can take advantage of, if that makes sense. You have to. Or else, I think this is one of the plays that I look at where you kind of get these safeties separated. No, they both drop back. This is a run play. This is basically it. So as far as the defensive line, we got guys that's coming in and out. Talking with Charlie Gross and watching tape, run defense has been a problem for them as far as consistently tackling. Just finding consistent roles. Is this the right fit defensively? Defensive line wise, I feel like with this group, they'd be better suited with more run stuffing guys rather than finesse. But this is just how they're orchestrated right now. So looking at this defense, I'm eyeing my matchups. I don't know the particular play that they're running, but I'm eyeing my matchups. I see 2 4s on the guy in a condensed formation. Look at him. I'm hitting Renfro. Like it's not Derek Carr. It is. It kind of is Derek Carr's responsibility to look, okay, pre-snap. Pre-snap, all things being equal, I know how good my players is. I know how good Darren Waller is. I know how good Zay Jones can be. I know Nelson Aguilar. I know all of this. So I'm looking right side. I'm looking center field at snap, and I'm darting over because I know that Hunter Renfro right here is running either an in or a slant. So I'm eyeing this matchup because I know Taron Johnson, however you say his name, I know that he's covering one of these players. So I'm going to look center field just to be honest, and I'm going to go back over there because I know that's my best matchup. Now, can players that aren't playing well make plays? Yep. But I'm betting on my player to beat that player. So at the snap, look at 13 here for the Raiders. Look at 13, and guess who's guarding him? We're going to slow it down. That might have been tipped. So maybe he was. But did it really go that far if it was tipped? I think he meant to go there. But I would have went inside, and you might have gotten a flag called. You might have gotten a flag called just simply because a flag thrown simply because the guy mugged the wide receiver. Got some screen action going, and this is just a glorified run play. It's a glorified run play. It's it. It's a glorified run play. You know, we're going to look at the down and distance of this, and we're going to try to go to the Bills offense because really for me, the Titans, you got to control the clock. You got to run the football, and you want to see it where Darrington Evans is because if we can get that speedy back out of the backfield that can catch and really put these linebackers, keep them honest, and use that speed and control the clock and keep it away from a very, very, very talented and hot offense right now. We got a chance. But if we can't do these things, if we can't take advantage and be very opportunistic in this game, the Tennessee Titans, it could be a drubbing. And I'm just being honest, it could be a drubbing. for this particular game, week 6 or week 5, um, versus the Bills Tuesday on a very unorthodox situation, not playing football so long. And I've already mentioned normal conditioning is a lot different than football conditioning. So you gotta take advantage of your time on the field. You gotta have your rotations right. You gotta have everything right. You can't let fatigue set in and make you make mistakes. But that's what happens when you get fatigued. You know, that's just how it works. So once again, to Taron Johnson is following. You gotta have patience with this throw, and you gotta have time. You got Zay Jones making plays, man. You got Taron Johnson. So I'm looking at that matchup for sure. But then what do you do in the zone, right? Zone, you gotta stay true. Be patient. Find your window. That's perfect. And that's Ryan Tannehill's bread and butter. I don't have to worry about Ryan Tannehill when it comes to that. Finding holes in zones and striking. That's I'm not gonna become monotonous and repetitious and on the facts of what I already know. I know that he can. I'm not going to give you a cut up of Ryan Tannehill drilling a pass in zone coverage perfectly. He does that. What I'm showing you is in certain aspects with the Titans specifically, don't test Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde when you got AJ Brown on Cam Lewis or on Dean Marlowe. Like don't target Khalif Raymond versus Micah Hyde if you got AJ Brown on Dane Jackson. That's what I mean. Like you have to take advantage of every time you got a chance to really have a big play. And it's just being mindful of that. And I know that this is not anything that I hope teams are informing your quarterback of these type of situations. I think that you would be, you know. I really want to get to offense, but apparently, like I've said about these Raiders, they're pesky. They This is a long drive, it seems like. So let's look at the last few plays with the Bills in their off. Well, it was early, but their last few plays before they scored on their first possession of this game. So what we're gonna have to worry about as Titans fans and the Bills, and this is why I'm being extremely short with this, and I'll have probably another segment going live on Twitter tomorrow. Is it's a very to me this isn't a like super, you know, this isn't a game to where there's too much scheme like that. We know each other. It feels like a division game. We've been playing each other so much. It feels like a division game. There's not much to know. Like the Bills and their concepts are relatively the same as the last two times we played them because that's who we've played. They've gotten more talent. Their play style variants, the way that they can win is so multiple. They're like I can't even say they're a poor man's version of the Chiefs. They're very similar to the Chiefs. They have several different ways to win. They can grind it out, especially when Zach Moss starts to get healthy, starts to reading it a little bit better. TJ Yeldon, they have the speed, shifty, agile running back in Devin Singletary, so they can, and Isaiah McKenzie using his speed, John Brown speed. You have speed. You can win with NASCAR, or you can win with the bulldozer. You got a quarterback that can extend plays and has a rocket arm. You got a precise route runner in Stephon Diggs. I mean, every single thing besides the huge 6'4" wide receiver target, but you got that kind of in Dawson Knox as your tight end. This team can beat you in several different ways. And the Tennessee Titans, who struggled on defense, is it scheme? Is it timing? Is it situation? Is it depth? I've been clamoring about the depth of this team for a while. Um, but I feel as though that the Tennessee Titans have a chance if they reduce the time of the game and defensively you hold this team to field goals. And I know that's a generic, and I said it on Assembling Titans earlier this week. Is it's a generic way to win. You hold teams to field goals, yeah, of course, but specifically playing man versus Josh Allen in the red zone, confusing him is your best time. Playing zone might not be the worst thing. Forcing him to look pre-snap and maybe see man, and then at the post-snap going into zone, making him have to rethink what he's doing will be advantageous to the Titans. But as far as skilled players versus defensive backs, it's going to be tough when it's that one-on-one matchup. And I think second half Bills in this game is scary because most of the time you come out with a game plan. You come out with a game plan and then you adjust it after the first half or whatever because you don't want to be one dimensional or show one thing. And this second half Bills team is going to be scary because then it's going to be more matchup based, and then that's when we'll see a splurge of points. But the Tennessee Titans can stop it all if we get that run game going. So let's look at some of these plays. And then we'll look at it from the end zone view. We'll let it play, and then we'll look at it end zone view. Boom. Um, so in this situation, we see, Gabriel Davis right here in the slot commanding attention because this guy's been playing very well as of late. He cheats over to Gabriel Davis' side. Looks to be man. So he sat. So Gabriel actually sat, allowing that window to open for Diggs to run the dig. So that those type of plays is crazy. I mean, that's basic offense, but it's like it makes it so scary because this offense has so many weapons. I don't want this to be like Buffalo Bills bias, like I'm wearing a Titans hat. But then again, I'm not like a Titans super fan or anything. I'm looking at this totally, from facts and being, and player personnel wise, the talent that they have is ridiculous. It's just so much. Like I said, I've said this probably 40 times since my Assembling Titan show earlier in the week. The playstyle variance is crazy. They're definitely copying the right cat. Success leaves clues. They're making an offense that can win in several different ways. It's just scary. Look at this trips, right? Look at this trips. You have Gabriel Davis, big receiver, good route running, kind of like a Travis Fulgham. If you saw that game, Steelers versus Eagles, very similar type of players. Then you got Stephon Diggs, one of the best route runners in the league. Then you got Isaiah McKenzie, who is an absolute speedster, who can defeat you in several different ways. And those type of gadget plays that they use him on is absolutely nail in the coffin, foot on the neck type of plays that can really put games in the bag for you. That's scary. You got motion. They do that a lot to get these to keep everybody honest, to show what you're doing. I mean, this team overall, I mean, it's just an impressive group. And their play style variance is important. Like I said, that's 41 times, 42 times, 43 times. Play style variance, play style variance, play style variance. Clock control game. The Titans have to keep possession of the game, turn sevens into threes. And target number 24 Teron Johnson for the Bills. Number 31, Dean Marlowe. Number 47, Cam Lewis. Number 30, Dane Jackson. Target these players because it's about opportunity. You're not gonna slug it out with this game with this team when you haven't played in so long and you need to get your conditioning up. There go Gabe Davis. There he goes. There he goes. Like, you know, that's that's really all that I have to say, guys. It's just a very organic, me and you talking football, and mainly me talking and you watching football in the background. As I just tell you that the game is, it looks fancy when you break down the plays. Yeah, specific plays can set things up. It looks fancy when you even give out statistics. But every game in itself is an individual story. And within that story of individuality, you find detail and matchups in situational football. And when the teams that take advantage of situational football, because guess what? Everybody goes to practice, everybody trains, and they have their base core of what they do. Guess what? That's public knowledge to every team. They know what you're doing. But what they cannot defeat, you cannot defeat if you really have a arena, and I'm not saying this about the Buffalo Bills corner, and yes, I'm picking on them because that's what everybody does. There's no disrespect to nobody mentioned in this video. But if you have, for instance, a guy that should be in the arena league at cornerback, and I have a first round talented wide receiver, I'm going to take advantage of that because no scheme can defeat that. No scheme can defeat my round one wide receiver versus an arena league corner. That's just that. And that goes for the same thing for the Bills. Stephon Diggs versus, somebody else. Chris Jackson, for example. That's somebody, Jonathan Joseph, for an example, for the Bills, you could target. So, and this is not disrespect. This is looking at the tape. This is what has been shown. And I'm not saying either one of the arena league. It was an example, right? An example. No scheme is good enough to beat players. It's players over scheme. You can run the best scheme ever, but if your players aren't good, it's not going to work. So in this game, it's going to be matchup driven. And strategy wise, field position, we didn't talk about special teams. Field position is going to be incredibly important because, according to Charlie Gross and tape, their punter, Corey Bojorquez, very, very um, pronunciation is, let's just excerpt pronunciation, and talking to people during this assembling Titans has been great because you get to learn the exact way to say these names. Corey Bojorquez, the punter for the Bills, has been a bit strong-legged, so he's more of a guy that can boot it, but is not necessarily accurate. So the Titans can gain some advantages there. Kicker wise, Tyler Bass has been trying. But overall, the concept of the game is to control as much clock as you can, establish the run for the Titans. For the Titans, establish the run, control the clock, and be advantageous when you have the ball and pick on some of these younger corners. Tre'Davious White may or may not play. He didn't practice all week. I highly doubt McDermott will let him play after not practicing all week, so he may be out. So that is an advantage for the Titans to go out there and try to make plays. Now, for the Bills to beat the Titans, you just have to continue to be you. This team is going to be gassed. Gassed. Don't give them the game. Run the ball, pound it, and you can make this a condensed game yourself, or you can blow up the score because they've already been having problems defensively. Told you who to target, and that's it. You talent wise, you're one of the best in the league, roster wise, offensively, and you're showing it with how you're playing. So that is the segment of Be So Good They Can't Ignore You. Raw, organic, the truth. Hopefully, you gain some insight for this game, and we'll see you on the next one.